Welcome to FAQ podcast number 12. Last week we learned apparently people don't click on a podcast unless it has a salacious title. So this week, Android is beating iPhone to a bloody fucking pulp.
Wait, what?
Click on the video.
How do we know that?
Click on it!
Which video?
I don't know, this one. Oh, they already clicked on it. Thank you for clicking on the video. Apparently our title worked.
Oh.
So let's
my god.
open it up to the phones and hopefully Skype won't crash immediately.
Use your Apple or Android device to call us and tell us what you think about.
Foxy's salivating on the couch.
But really a PC.
She's drooling.
All right, open up the call. Open it up. But
Let's go.
Nobody's calling.
Whoop.
Well, also, right now, I think we're doing questions on Twitter as well. We're live streaming, right?
Twitter.com.
Okay.
It's our account for Funhaus
Turn
is
on the light there.
twitter.com/askfunhausefaq a question.
It's not so important.
What?
That's the Twitter address.
Well, actually, hold on.
Yeah.
I forgot something. There's a reason why we're talking about this.
Oh.
Yesterday, Google had a very special event where they announced all new things.
Somebody on the phone? Oh. Yeah,
Probably.
they did.
Yes. What did they announce, Lawrence?
They announced 2 new lines in both of their Nexus series. What is that?
Oh, somebody's talking outside.
That's somebody's outside.
Shut up!
So the new Nexus 5 is the 5X, and the new Nexus 6 is the 6P.
Boom!
And they have a new tablet called the Nexus 9.
Boom!
And they have the Nexus Player,
What
which
the
is
fuck
the little.
is that? Oh,
It's
that
the little.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's basically their Apple TV.
Yeah, I think they announced that a
And
while
there's
ago.
a new Chrome.
Cast.
Yeah.
Cast.
So that's a weird thing. The separation between the Nexus Player and the Chromecast is fascinating.
Regardless, it was very similar to Apple's whole thing where they're like, hey, new iPad. You want it, Joel? It's big.
Maybe.
Okay.
Not as lifestyle oriented, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
I don't need a fucking
there a
indie
new
pop
iPad?
song with some
Yeah,
white
remember
lady.
the iPad Pro?
Oh, this thing that's
Yeah.
not that thin or light.
No, it's the size of a table, but guess what? It can run Photoshop, but it's still using
Force-sensitive stylus that Apple said they never ever wanted to have
That's
ever.
right. Look at that.
No, that was a
Are you tired of me interrupting
misappropriation.
you all day long?
No, oh no, not tired.
Also,
I'm tired of Apple.
Joel,
Sorry.
I saw or I heard an Apple apologist say this on Twitter. It's not a stylus. It's an
a way
artistic
of life?
device.
Oh.
You don't use. It's not like a PDA. You're not using the stylus to navigate menus. You're just using it to draw.
I'm gonna go check it out, and if I really like it, I'm gonna get one.
Regardless, I've always said if you're going to use a stylus, if you're doing any sort of professional work, do not put your money into a fucking iPad or an Android tablet.
What?
Get a Surface.
Right, or
Whoa.
if you're doing professional artistic work, get a Wacom or a Syntec or something.
Yeah,
Anyway.
It's like,
Get something professional.
Hey, this podcast is about the people.
Yeah.
but I'm not a professional. I would just use it to doodle, and I want to be able to doodle better.
But wouldn't your drawings be better if you had a big iPad?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Oh, yeah.
agree.
You should give them a
wanna take a phone call?
$2,000. Let's take a phone
let's
call.
take a phone call.
Android versus Apple, what's your question?
Hello, are you there?
Oh, dear God.
Bobby?
Come on, Bobby.
Yo!
Whoa, there you are.
The voice does not
Hey,
match the
Is
picture.
this the Coastal Crab?
Yes. What's the question? What's your question about Android versus iPhone?
Okay.
Oh,
So
he's got notes.
He has notes. I heard it.
obviously,
Yes.
iPhone has a lot more sales, as far as I understand. But do you think
Hold
if
on.
everyone,
Let
like
finish.
everyone in the world has a smartphone,
Yeah.
if they tried both Android and iPhone, do you think most of them would switch over to Android, or is it just like not about marketing and people just like the simplicity?
Well, I switched over from Apple to
Why
Android.
did you do that?
Peer pressure.
Kind of peer pressure, because
Yeah.
I had an iPhone for a long time, and Bruce had a Nexus 6, and I was tired of him calling, or Nexus 5, and I was tired of him.
No, Bruce had a.
What did you have?
I had something before that. It was a Google phone.
It was just, well, it was called the Nexus, but it was like the Nexus, I think technically the 4.
Oh, yeah, it was really old.
Whichever one
That's right.
Samsung had made
The
before
original
they
Nexus, yeah.
switched over to
Sorry,
LG.
go ahead.
All right,
Anyway,
so
yeah.
when the 5 came out, I was like, fuck it. I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
Because I had played with your phone, which was an Android device. I don't remember what it was.
I forgot what I had.
And I played with your phone, and I was like, oh, well, this does a lot of cool things. And the thing that appealed to me most was the integration with all of the different Google products for work.
Yeah.
I never been able to do work before on a phone because the iPhone interface is so bad.
Before
for work.
the death of Hair Steve Jobs, what? I'm sorry, fewer jobs.
I got it.
Pure?
You could not use any Google products on an Apple phone. Like
He was really attractive when he had hair.
It was bad. Like back when I had, I think, an iPhone 4.
Look up a picture of him.
Now, Steve Jobs is a good-looking
No,
dude.
I'll-
Don't get me wrong. He's
Virile
just an-
Steve Jobs.
He's
Google that
just
shit.
a dead asshole.
Steve
I'm getting
Naked Steve Jobs.
The point being,
Ooh.
he's
there he is.
Oh dear God,
He's dead.
looks like a zombie. He was whatever his quote. He was saying like he's going to drop a nuclear bomb on Android because they stole from Apple, and it's like no, they what? No, like chill, dude.
So what are the
It
sales?
was weird.
So Bobby, are you there?
Yeah.
All right.
Alright,
So
sorry.
here's the thing. Android is apparently predicted to ship 1.15 billion devices in 2015, whereas iPhone is supposed to ship 237 million. So Android's outselling the iPhone nearly 5-1.
That's
Okay,
worldwide.
I
though.
stand corrected.
That's
No. It's perception.
Well, because the
Apple's doing a good job
Right.
by selling less and making it appear as if they're selling more.
And also,
Well-
the iPhone's selling one device,
Yeah.
whereas Android is selling across
Compared to any
multiple
one
devices.
Android device, iPhone is smashing. But you
Yeah.
know, Android is everything. So
Right, and,
Yeah,
and
I mean, I switched over from an iPhone. I used to have a 4S, and now I have a Galaxy. And I remember like wanting an iPhone. Like I knew from the beginning, before I got a smartphone, I kind of wanted the Android because it just seems better. But iPhone's more of like a bucket list thing for me. It's
Okay.
just like.
Is your life goal to own an
Maybe
iPhone?
that's because I grew up seeing them everywhere, but I don't know.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That makes sense.
I think the iPhone's still like. I think the OS. I mean, it depends on what you want to do. We talk about this a lot. Like if you are
they
a
announced 3D
tinkerer,
touch.
if you're a tinkerer, Android is for you.
No.
Yeah.
You already know my rule for this.
Oh, boy.
Everybody knows my rule.
Yeah.
What's your rule?
Can you say that? Can you say this out loud?
Absolutely. iPhones are for girls. iPhones are for girls. So, Bobby, when you
there's a girl with an iPhone that just went, "Fuck that guy."
when you switched,
said on our iPhone.
you were no longer a girl. Just so you're aware.
Hey,
Awesome.
Yeah.
I was worried about that.
Without
know,
getting
nice job.
misogynistic about it, also
Not misogynistic at all. iPhones are for girls. Android are for boys.
well, the other thing too is Apple and Android are pretty smart about this, about the whole upgrade system, where it's like just take all your old data, all your old contacts, all that stuff, rolls over into the new phone. That's a hard cord to cut when everything you've ever owned has been on an iPhone. Like you had the iPhone 1,
Yeah.
and it's like you're just transferring the soul over and over to a new device, and
It's like reincarnation.
kind of, but like you've bought probably hundreds of dollars worth of apps.
Phone Jesus.
All your text messages, all your photos. Like, not the average person doesn't really know how to say that sort of stuff. Anyway, you can hang up. Sorry, thanks, Bobby.
Thank you for the call.
oh man, didn't even think about it.
I did.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, you did? Okay, that's
Trying to get that sound effect.
Point being, it's hard.
Good job.
It's hard to get someone to get away from that.
Yeah.
That's my theory. Anyway.
What's the sunk cost fallacy or something? No,
Also,
it's not
yeah,
a fallacy though.
I'm just gonna say it though. When I switched, it felt good to just cut all that off. It was like there's a lot of baggage. It was weighing me down.
well, it's just we also talk about how like bloated iOS has become.
Yeah. No, it really is. It absolutely
and,
is.
and particularly iTunes.
yeah, we were talking
Like,
about iTunes. I don't know about
iTunes.
iOS.
No, the iOS size has gotten 100 million times larger.
Yeah, and it and syncing your phone is with an iOS device is really a lot more annoying. Whereas with Google, everything is automatic. It's I mean, everything's automatic.
that was sort of the appeal for me too. Like, I mean, back when they may have changed it now, but I remember trying to do everything through iTunes was a clusterfuck. It was always a pain in the ass to transfer any sort of file, and I've gone through
4.6 gigs is how much
Jesus
it takes.
Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've gone through like 4 Android phones now without ever having
that's
to plug
8.
them into a computer for anything
9
other than
is
file
fine.
transferring. So,
Yeah.
which is another thing too. Doing file transferring on Android is so much easier.
Let's
We're just gonna jerk off
Throw
Google
it to
for the next
phone!
hour.
Answer a
Okay,
call.
let's take a call.
Dear God.
Blam.
Caller, are you there?
Hello?
Hello. Do you have a question about the iPhone versus Android?
Where's Williams?
He hung up.
He hung up.
What did he say? Blades Williams?
I don't know what he said. Caller, are you there?
Oh, she's listening.
Yeah.
Aha! Turn down your computer,
What
please.
kind of iPhone do you have?
What's your?
Like their upgrade where you get a special deal, but the iPhone now has where you can upgrade it yourself.
Like
You got to turn down your computer. 'cause
That's
we're-
okay. Turn it up if you
No,
can.
it's fine. Yeah, louder is better.
Here's. Hold on. Answer me this question, caller.
Hello?
Oh
Hello?
no, Bruce, don't do
I'm
it.
here.
Bruce, don't.
You better turn down your computer, or else I'm gonna hang up on you.
Oh, I'm sorry, my boyfriend has it playing on his
Boyfriend!
I
No,
have
Bruce, come on.
I almost hung up on her.
my boyfriend has the Android.
And what do you have?
The one and only
I have an
Android.
iPhone.
Aha! I knew it.
What do you like so much about the iPhone?
It's really simple, and I had an Android in the past, but it was just too shitty for me.
Ooh,
Shitty Bruce.
Wait, no, hey, there are a lot of shitty Android phones out
There
there.
are.
Yeah, there's like some really garbage.
I had an
phones.
Android phone that had a resistive touchscreen. Like you had to use a stylus to poke it. I was like, what is this garbage?
Cool.
I'm not debating that fact. I'm not telling people switch to Android. Hell no.
No, not at all.
If you want simplicity and you want mama to hold your hand, like, dude, get an iPhone.
Wait,
Life's easy.
So you like the upgrade feature? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
What's the
Well,
upgrade
I mean,
feature?
I was talking
more
about
RAM.
like now that Verizon has cut their upgrade feature, like you get a special deal, but now Apple has an upgrade
right.
feature, but
Subsidies.
you're kind of like blocked into Apple for
So
the rest
that-
of your life.
It's
Well,
a weird thing. I'm gonna pull a Joel here real quick.
But Android phones are cheaper naturally.
Well, no, I was gonna say, like the whole on the debate of the whole like upgrade thing. The rest of the world doesn't really have the same subsidies that America has. That's a very like.
Oh, we don't really have many more either.
Anyway, I'm done talking.
No, I'm not.
No, you're absolutely
I
right.
lost my train of thought.
I'm
sorry.
going with you on these.
I'm just curious what pulling a Joel means. I mean, and would you do it right now to Joel?
I'm world traveled and I have seen things.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
makes sense.
sorry.
No, it's
Choking down a beer.
It's interesting because the dichotomy, as I see it, is coming out like I think Apple's starting to realize that they had the image, they had the marketing, they had the market, they had everything, and Android has slowly chipped away at that with just like breadth instead of depth.
Right.
And now Apple has to fight them on price, which is really tough considering Apple used to charge a premium for their image, which was awesome. It was impeccable.
Let me tell you a little story about the first iPhone. That wasn't even called an iPhone. It was called the iTunes phone. You remember that?
No.
From like Singular Wireless?
No, I don't remember.
This is a good story. You're gonna like this, Joel.
Hold on.
It's a Joel.
So for years, Apple had been trying to make an iPhone type phone. Like they wanted something, and so they made this super shitty Singular Wireless phone. Did you find it? Yes.
This one? Oh, yeah, I do remember this
It was
one.
the first phone with
Yeah.
iTunes on it.
Yes.
Ugh.
And the whole thing was because Apple
It doesn't even look like an iPod. That doesn't make sense.
Apple never had the infrastructure to.
Motorola.
What?
Wow.
Is it? Yeah. Oh my God.
Got an
Holy
old
shit.
phone. It's got the little click nub in it.
Regardless, Apple didn't have the infrastructure to build out a cellular network, so they had to partner with someone. And even when they put the first phone, they they were only with AT&T. Like it took a while for them to do this. But it's funny because if you look at the steps in which they're going, Apple's going to be a mobile carrier soon. Google's already doing it. They're just piggybacking off. It's just going to be
You're
this
going
sort
to
of
buy a
service.
network?
Probably. They have enough money that they
Well,
could.
I mean, Google's technically already doing that with Fi.
Oh, that's true.
But they're yeah.
Caller, thank you for
Yeah.
reinforcing stereotypes. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bruce, you're so rude.
and the sexist.
You have to be. This is the way it works. Caller, are you there?
Chappie.
Oh, hey, Bruce.
Hey, do you have a question about
You guys are all
iPhone
buds.
versus Android?
Mercy.
I do. I want to know if you're going to buy the new Nexus phone, because I am actually currently calling
Yep.
Uh-oh. Are you there?
and Nexus 6.
Wait, hold on. You got to say your question again because you cut out.
Yes?
Say your question again.
I said, are you going to buy the new Nexus phone, like the 5X or the 6P?
I'm not, because I just bought the 6 last year.
Same did I.
So it's gonna it'll be a little bit for me to upgrade. I usually try to wait 2 years.
Hey, Lawrence, where's your phone?
What about Windows Phone?
It's in my hand and it looks great.
What does the screen look like?
It's shiny and
show
reflective.
us that screen.
Show us
why
show
do
the
I need
camera.
to?
Show the kids the screen.
I don't
Just show
need
them.
to. Everybody's seen a screen before.
Bruce, take his phone. Show him the screen.
It's not necessary.
Oh, come
There it
on,
is.
Lawrence.
It's
You
right
don't
here.
show the cameras right here.
No reason.
Is anybody going to buy the 6X or the 5X or the 6P?
I wanted to the wave took me and I was like, it's so good. And then I
What's so
sat
good
down.
about it? What caught your eye?
It's not cracked.
Since
Oh.
can't really tell because it's like
I dropped a can of nonstick spray directly onto the screen. Has anyone cracked their phone that way in the history of the world? No, it's just drunk idiots dropping their phone, which is normally how I break my phone.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So you're still going to stick with the old one?
well,
Nexus
so here
6?
was my plan, and this is one of the things I really like about Android is that it's your property. Like I buy this phone and then I can resell it. And then it's just like upgrading computer hardware. You buy a new video card, you sell your old one, and you basically get an upgrade for $150. That's essentially how you can rotate Android hardware every.
Lawrence has made like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I'm a millionaire.
A lot.
Being on you're on Google Fi, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
They pay me to be on Google Fi. It's fucking
Damn.
fantastic.
I'm telling you, you Apple sheep out there,
Wait.
you're missing out.
How much are you paying a month right now, Lawrence?
70, but that includes $30 installation on the phone.
Thank you for the call.
It's $40 for the data and for the
So
for
wait,
talking.
Bruce, what's stopping you from getting the 6P or the 5X?
I just spent like what, $600 on the Nexus 6.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money to spend on a phone.
But
And
you own it. It's yours.
Own it. You don't have to
you
pay
know,
for
I
it.
could sell it.
You could sell it and then buy a 5 and you end up making money.
Man.
Oh, you're right.
No, you
That's
don't.
not the
Actually,
Joel's getting
don't
the
make
spirit of
money at
things.
all.
That is not the way it works.
No, you don't make money at all.
You need that
It's all for $500.
Caller, are you there?
Actually, wait, they're $450 now.
Caller?
Hup.
Hep.
Hello?
Hello. Do you have a question about iPhone versus Android?
Yeah, I was wondering, do you think that there's ever gonna be another company that makes smartphones,
Never.
like
Wait,
Sony
what?
or something?
You mean like HTC?
You mean like Nokia?
Oh, do you mean like a different operating
yeah.
system?
Well, I mean, like, there's HTC, there's Nokia, there's a lot of companies. What do you call those?
Oh wait, are you asking about like, is there ever going to be an iconic?
No, another OS. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, another OS.
So iPhone, Android, and
BlackBerry.
Windows Phone already exists.
Linux,
Like,
a
do you
Linux
think
phone.
Sony's ever gonna
Oh,
make
Android
one?
is Linux.
What'd you say?
Sony is ever gonna make a phone?
Well, Sony makes phones, but they're Android phones.
Ericsson's?
brand.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they make phones.
Linux brand.
The problem is right now Android again like has such a huge market share, and everybody knows how to use Android.
Ugh.
That at this point, it would be dumb to make another OS.
Really? You think dumb?
I do.
I guarantee you. So
actually
I
do.
guarantee
No,
you, there's
somebody's-
going to be startups that make a different OS.
and it's going to be garbage. So like, and that's the thing is that you need something better than iOS, and in my opinion, iOS is actually better than Android in terms of an OS.
Blah.
Those weird children phone things.
You're not even Mike,
Spool
Spool.
in this FAQ or not?
Just let him talk.
He doesn't have anything
let
to
him do his
do.
thing.
He says there's
Spool doesn't
children.
have
There's
anything to edit
children's
right now.
I'm
phones.
gonna make a Linux phone though.
Oh boy.
Android.
This is why we don't let Spool talk.
Never mind.
Are you going to edit Demo Desk or not?
Doesn't dig it, Joel.
Yeah,
I
well,
know.
well, I was gonna say,
work
jumping on his point, like you basically have both sides of the spectrum right there. You have Apple, which is completely closed down, which improves battery life and makes kind of ease of use for developing and all that
Make
fun
it
stuff.
unfuckable.
Yeah, I don't forget what does it use, Cocoa or it was Cocoa. Like it's a different. I think they develop on Metal or whatever it's called. I forget.
Yeah, Metal.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, whatever their the development software. Like apparently it's very easy for developers to like kind of just do shit.
Because it's one SDK for one hardware spec.
Android, on the other hand, is open source and anyone can develop for it, and it's fragmented across billions of phones, and there can be so many different problems with it.
Can I make a prediction when you're done?
I was going to say, what would be in the middle?
So I don't know. I don't think that the next OS is going to be open. Like I don't think it's going to be focused on open or close. I think someone's going to want to develop a hyper secure like business OS.
Sure. Well, it's like BlackBerry.
That does
But
exist.
it does
Yeah.
exist, but BlackBerry is failing, and no one wants to use their software
Because it's garbage.
Because it's garbage. So but someone's going to develop a next generation version of that.
I think they already make a secure Android. To be honest,
There, I forget where it is, but yeah, there's like a phone you could buy for like
but-
$17,000, and it's like the most secure phone in the world.
So that's one, and I also think that one of the emerging markets, China or India, most likely, is going to develop their own native OS somehow.
Maybe.
And that will be more popular than any of these because there are billions of people in those two markets.
What you're talking about, this is going to get super dorky, and I'm probably most of the audience is going to tune out. But what people already do with Android is they make different versions of it. They're called ROMs, and so that's why you get CyanogenMod, which is a variation of Android. Samsung has TouchWiz. LG has like it's just basically a modified skin, but like CyanogenMod has like funding behind it, and they sold like as a company and all these things, and they took an open source platform and made it their own. Like so. Yeah, China has actually already done that. There is a sought after Chinese OS that apparently it's really good.
that was a good question,
Yeah.
caller.
Anyway,
thank you very much for the call.
Yeah.
And also, we need to sync.
We don't need
Sync
to.
on what?
It's actually pretty easy to sync
All
this.
right,
The
then,
waveform of the
done.
call-in is really easy.
I was saying you just do it on the
Caller, are you there?
Hello?
Hello. Do you have a question for us about iPhone versus Android?
Yes, I do.
All right. What is it?
So, it's obvious that Androids are more widely used in terms of like tablets and phones. But is there any like positivity that you guys find in Apple? I know you guys use Androids because of convenience for work, and since you can link and connect through basically everywhere. But like pulling out of that professional/work standpoint, do you think there's anything useful or
like I just
convenient?
said, I think iOS is a better OS than Android is.
I think I would agree. To me it's more, first of all, like the software is just more beautiful. It's more pleasant on the eyes.
Yeah.
I have an iPad at home that I use for, I prefer, having messed around with Surface tablets, I prefer iPads. Again, I think the interface is better. I like the shortcuts a lot better. I also like, there are more and better apps developed for iOS, in my opinion, than there are for Android. So the reason especially like the iPad, is that it is a cheap drawing tablet. It's the thing that I doodle on, and I.
You also have an iPad too.
I also have
very old.
It's very old, and that's why I'm going to look at the iPad Pro when it comes out. You know, we use them for different things though. Like I don't need a professional mobile tablet, like which is what you would use a Surface for.
Yeah, I would actually like my dream is that Windows would operate like OS 10. Like I have a MacBook at home, and like the operating system is one of the cleanest, nicest things. Like using Expose and like just the hot corners of like just how smoothly everything moves and just how easy it is to alt tab things and just how beautiful the transitions are. Like I love the general interface of Apple stuff. The problem is it can't run games. Yeah. Like that's really, and then the hardware is locked down, and upgrading it is always kind of a hassle. Like I mean, they released a computer that's a toilet. Like you can't really like swap out the graphics card. So for what we do, mostly, you know, video games and editing, all that stuff, we need to keep our stuff modular and stay liquid in the sense that we have to be able to upgrade at any point. Android's kind of the same way, where we need to be working with Google products, and we need to be able to like my phone, I need to be able to put like large files on it and upgrade the memory. Whereas Apple's like, no, you're going to give us an extra $200 for 16 gigs of space. You can go fuck yourself, Steve Jobs.
So Bruce just pulled up this graph.
This actually just happened. So I've been following this for a really long time because 5 or 6 years ago I was working on Attack of the Show. I predicted that, to Scott Michella, a friend of ours, that Android would eventually overtake iPhone in terms of market share and in terms of app number. I predicted that, I want to say 6 years ago probably. Yeah. And Scott was like, no way. And it actually happened in 2 years. I think 2 years from that time that I predicted it, that Android took over the market share. Now in terms of apps, iOS typically has been ahead. And this is actually news to me, that now Google Play has more apps in their store than the Apple App Store.
More is not better.
Yeah, can I make a conjecture though?
I'm not saying that it's better. I'm just saying more.
My conjecture is that, based on only like personal experience, is that while premium, like, you know, the best apps will eventually come to both platforms, they usually come to iOS. I've found that a lot of them come to iOS first. A lot of app developers develop for iOS and then subsequently port it over to Android.
Change.
Well, there's a reason for that. iOS users are more likely to pay money for apps.
Because they're rich.
They blew all the fucking money on the hardware. They got money to burn.
What's our caller's name?
Is it Melissa?
It's Melissa, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Also, Melissa, in terms of iOS apps versus Android, only recently did Android like really basically clamp down and say you need to follow these design specs. Yeah. They introduced something called material design with I want to say, what was it, KitKat? One of the whatever the last update they did before, I forget where we're at. Stupid name. Marshmallow, and then
Lollipop.
What are we on right now? Lollipop, yeah. But regardless, iOS apps have always just aesthetically felt better, and holy crap, some Android apps, like, they were useful but ugly as fuck because they're all stuck in this old.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
That kind of goes to my question of, like, in terms of convenience, is Apple more popular because of its convenient, smooth running system that they have that makes people like draw in because of the simplicity, and that Android is kind of the competitor in the sense that it's not as, or it might be more, I don't know the right word.
Well, I think it's actually not more popular.
Yeah.
We just established that.
But it has more cachet, maybe, is what she means to say.
Yeah, just like in terms of, I guess, sales of, you know, what you were talking about, apps and things like that, because it runs smoothly. And
this is all, I mean, like, that's also, it's subjective. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I see what you're saying. Like, in terms of style, people think it's more stylish.
Yes,
let's say.
Sure.
But in terms of popularity, no, it's not more popular.
Bruce, how do you feel about the fact that one of those 1.6 million Google Play apps, one of those is Brucey Bird?
I feel great, and there's also Pocket Bruce and Pocket Lawrence too.
Yeah, that's right.
I
think also, in terms of the App Store, I'm not positive, but I remember how easy it was for. We had a fan back when we worked on Inside Gaming who made an app for us, and we told him, like, hey, get that up on the App Store. He goes, well, it costs $20. I don't have the money. I'm like, I'll pay that. Like, I paid him the $20. He did it, and he had it up in like an hour. Like, I think it's a lot, which is not a good thing, by the way. The fact that it's that easy to get on is a little scary. I don't know. I mean, and also going back to what Bruce said, the iPhone is more, or Android is more popular because there are more poor people in this world.
Yep.
There are not that many rich people.
So it's for the people.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah. So I mean, we're in the filth. That's where we want to be.
I got no problem with that. I would like to be with the common man.
We're hanging out with our people.
Melissa, I have a question for you. What kind of phone do you own?
Oh boy.
I own a Nexus 5.
Oh! Nice job. Thank you very much. All right, I'll talk to you later.
He's not gonna talk to
You're
you
gonna call her. Hey, what's going
Well,
on?
she might call back. You never know.
Yeah. Wow.
Caller, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello. Do you have a question for us about iPhone versus Android?
Can you hear me?
I certainly can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, good. iPhone versus Android. Go.
Last month I quit an assistant management position at an Apple store in the U.S.
Okay.
Not because I don't like Apple or anything, and not because I'm a fanboy of Apple or anything, but just to move on. So I'm just wondering if there's anything you guys would like to know from a salesman's perspective and from a management perspective.
That's a good question.
At an Apple store.
Cool.
You know, maybe help clear something up or
Do you take money under the table to perform really rudimentary maintenance on people's hardware?
Not under the table. I mean, where we worked, people were allowed to give us tips if we felt it necessary, but I usually didn't take it.
It's basically like a Starbucks there?
Sorry, what?
No, never mind.
Nothing.
So yeah, my question is actually a question for you, which is what when customers come in, is there like a general I don't know, like
a checklist?
do you categorize most Apple customers a certain way? Do you say like, oh, most of the people who come in just want something that they don't have to think about running, and like they're all kind of idiots and they just expect it to work? Or do you, I mean,
so leading the question.
Or no, or alternatively, like is the Apple like company position of like, oh, we produce products for the creator, like for smart creators, is that true? So which side of it do you think like most of the customers come in on?
Well, in terms of like categorizing people, I didn't categorize people so much into like one general group. There was multiple demographics of people who like you could see when they walked.
This
into
is
the
way
store.
too nuanced.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the most common type of customer to walk into an Apple store? What would be 70% of your day?
If you were to divide the human race to two, let's call them genders.
Yeah. No, I understand what you mean. It'd be old women and young hipsters.
Saucy old broads.
That makes total sense.
So, and I'm not saying
Thank you
I'm
for
not saying
confirming our bias.
they're actual hipsters or actual old women, but that's how people act. Like,
I see what you mean.
Do you think that the iPhone versus Android debate will end up causing humanity to split into two separate subspecies of Eloi and Molochs?
Oh my gosh.
Nobody gets this reference,
I'm
Joel.
so sorry.
I have one last question. I have one last important question.
Go ahead.
All right.
All right,
go ahead.
I've heard rumors like through the grapevine that Apple stores are laid out in such a way that it's almost engineered to provide a positive Apple experience. I've heard stuff like
100% absolutely true.
So what are some things about that? I've heard like they will tilt MacBook screens down so you have to turn them up and feel the resistance in the hinge and things like that. How else is the store laid out in that way?
So basically, there's extremely strict guidelines that we are given by Apple specifically about how the store has to be laid out. You know, like what positions the computers and demos are put in, and like where the tables are, what's on the walls, where people are standing, you know, that kind of thing. And what happens is, I don't work there anymore, so I don't care if people know this, but
Tell us.
Give us names.
Usually about once a month, somebody who works for like kind of corporate headquarters kind of guy,
secret shopper.
Yeah, those secret
brings
shoppers.
in a mystery shopper and themselves, and they will like kind of walk around the store and do a check mark kind of thing. And if you fail, you know, if you get below 95%, then you're in big trouble.
Well, that's totally normal for any new organization. Is there anything you can kind of tell us that's like out of the ordinary that you thought was like, oh, that's weird?
Like a children's sex ring, maybe?
Ew.
What? We were trying to bust Apple. We're getting the story.
Apple juice.
Ugh.
Oh, nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay.
I mean,
All right.
just had to be a nice person. You had to be a nice person too, no matter who walked into the store. Because you got so. I mean, I wouldn't say I went without a day without somebody nasty coming into the store. I mean, you have a bunch of good customers, but there's always that one guy.
Oh, of course.
Who kind of comes in for no specific reason other than to give the salesman's grief.
I have one last question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are the employees smart? Are the employees like And the Genius Bar people actually smart, or are they just like fairly
Competent.
like fairly competent, like entry level kind of tech jobs?
To be honest, it depends how long they've been working there. I felt that the people who just started working, it was a 50-50 chance whether or not they were, like extremely competent. I mean, half of them were doing, computer science at university, and the other half didn't have any Apple experience at all, like had never touched an Apple device, but they liked the idea of working at the store. But we had a very rigorous set of training. So I mean, by the time they finish that, and by the time they do about 6 months working there, they become quite competent.
Thank you for the insight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It was the most objective, even-handed person
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
ever talked to.
I was waiting for
Also, he
dirt.
spoke in complete sentences.
Yeah, there was no bad stuff.
That's kind of that's what I associate with Apple though. Just like store has to be this way.
Yeah.
Apps have to be this way. You come in, you have this exact. It's very McDonald's for me, which works.
Well,
but also, I like
to
freedom.
Me,
I like
to me,
spontaneity.
a lot of the employees at the Apple Store, in LA specifically, half of them are actors and half of them are like hyper dorks. People like waiting for their job, and so like you have beautiful people in there, and then you have like hyper dorks.
Sure.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Well, I don't know. No, I mean, it works. I mean, do you remember, what was it, CompUSA?
Yes.
Where the fuck's that store?
Oh man, I love
How's that
store.
one doing?
I always went to Campusa. Always.
I'm just saying that there have been like thousands of different like computer stores that have gone out of business, and Apple is only thriving more and more. So it's like, it's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, it's working the way they do the layout, and then even Microsoft copied it.
Yeah,
exactly right.
Because they knew it works. It's like big bright store, big tables, come around, touch stuff, see all the things that you already own.
The problem is they called it the Windows Store, and literally we were at a mall. There's the first Windows store I had seen, and I legitimately thought it was a store that sold actual Windows.
Oh, Joel, you're the only person in the
No, I guarantee you I'm not.
Joel hiked up his waist height.
They should have called it the Windows 8 store.
Caller, are you there?
Oh, hello.
Hello, do you have a question about iPhone versus Android?
Hello there. I was wondering what your favorite devices are.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, that's the question. All right.
Okay.
Lawrence, go right ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Lawrence.
Or anything like that.
Quite fond of my fleshlight.
No.
Oh, gross. No.
Stop making jokes.
A phone or
This
a
is
pad.
a serious show.
Funhaus answers questions.
Phone or a pad.
I always liked the G1. I'm a fan of physical keyboards. And I know that it can't really fit into a slimline device.
Yeah, pull that
I'm
out.
actually perversely curious about the phone that RIM is making, the Android phone with the slide-up keyboard.
Yeah. I guess for those who don't know, it's a touchscreen phone that does slide up, and it has a.
This was the one of the first. I think this was the first Android phone.
Yeah, it was.
Possibly. Yeah. I mean, technically, I think that was the first consumer version. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, look at that garbage.
I always thought that was hot shit at the time.
Yeah,
I mean, it was big, but
yeah, I think this was announced like maybe 6 months or a year after the iPhone was announced, and it was just like already looked dated.
And it was
just like
it did, but it was still like to me the thing that made it not dated was a couple of months after it came out. There were, like you were saying, there were already custom distros of the initial Android.
Yeah.
So Cyanogen was already out at that point, and I was putting it on my G1 to make it run better and use less battery. Yeah. I was like, this is fucking cool. I actually have control over what's on my device that has all of my personal information on it.
Joel, you already said the iPad.
Well, that's what I work on now. My favorite device, when I bought it, I was ecstatic about. When I moved to LA, I got a Palm Pilot, and and because I'm terrible at keeping like dates and numbers, and they're like making calendars.
I had one of those.
Yeah, and like it was the first device. Exactly, it was the first device.
Eat up Martha.
Well, that was a PDA, right? Like it didn't have any phone functionality?
No phone functionality, but I carried it around so like when I was taking meetings and like interviewing for jobs, I could put everything in.
When you pull out the
you
stylus,
could draw on it.
Joel, when you pull out the stylus, did you always dab it to your tongue first?
No, but I did store the stylus behind my ear.
Ooh,
So
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I had that exact one. I think. Hold on, maybe. I remember I was in college. And I bought one of those things because I was also. Oh my god!
The scuzzy
cereal port.
I was selling life insurance before I got into any sort of like production work, and so I bought one of those because the guy I worked for was like, "Oh, you got to get one of these Palm Trios or not Palm? What is it?
That's a Pilot.
The Palm Pilot. I got one for like $150 or whatever, and I remember you couldn't do anything on it, so you could put like a couple MP3s on it, like maybe if you could.
Yeah,
fit on
you
there.
like 3 songs.
And so I got so bored, I was just using the calculator on it, and then I did a multiplication that was too complex, and the thing just went. And like, I was in the middle of class, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I wasn't allowed to bring it in
This
anymore.
was my first smartphone, and I was really excited about it.
Oh, those are cool.
The Palm Pre.
Yeah,
It
Oyster Shell or
used
whatever.
WebOS, and I remember using this to get around New York, and I was really excited about it.
Do you want to see the cool phone, the very first cool phone I ever got? Because my
yes.
first flip phone was a Kyocera.
Okay.
I got, no. You know what it is, the Moto Razr.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, well,
Everybody had, everybody had it. It was like the best
Oh, man, that was the coolest
This
phone
was
ever.
the best phone,
It was
yeah.
like the best selling phone
I got-
of all time.
I got
You
it
could
like-
watch Lost on it.
David Beckham advertised that phone all over LA. He was shirtless holding a phone.
I
Did you
bought
get
that
pretty good at
phone.
switchblading it out? Like,
Oh, yeah.
like no extra hinges.
I bought that phone 3 years after it was cool.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
Ooh, that's not
All
cool.
right, now get this. Phones like flip phones like the Razr and like basically non-smartphones, dumb phones are making a comeback
Well, they are.
because they are more secure and they don't have all of your data on them. People are starting to reuse them.
Oh, you can buy them at a 7-Eleven for $15. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Burner.
I think it's Samsung possibly. They're making a new smart screen or like a touchscreen flip phone. Yeah, it's coming back.
I want those spring-loaded slide phones that had in Matrix Reloaded.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man.
Thank you for the call, caller. We really appreciate it. Bye-bye.
That is the thing that dates the Matrix the most.
Oh,
is
yes.
those phones.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Any movie from 1998 to 2004.
Caller, are you there?
Hi.
Hi. Do you have a question for us about iPhone versus Android?
Yeah. So, what do you think? Like, there's the Apple Watch and that comes out in Apple TV. What do you think? Like, Apple product that, or like any product that, like, they'll put like a screen on, like maybe a lamp or something. What do you
Apple
think?
lamp.
An Apple lamp.
I believe what everybody else is saying is that they're working on a car and it'll be a touch screen. Like the car will have a touch screen.
Yeah, the Apple car.
And it'll be self-driving and it'll be like a fucking miracle. That'll be the next big screen, like the next big screen thing that they make.
I think it'll be flying.
There's Spool again.
Apple czar.
Sorry, I mean, not
so not the. I feel bad
whale.
because I'm hijacking every conversation
That's
and going
okay.
on a huge diatribe.
You're a
but,
tech man.
Cool.
We were talking about this.
Ooh, they put a dumb Apple logo on the front.
So
Whoa! Sorry.
what's
go ahead.
what's your name? Amanda.
I believe so. Yes.
Hi. Oh, hi, Amanda. So yeah, the problem is we keep saying things like the Apple TV and the Fire TV and Chromecast. The problem with all of these things is like they're just so narrow-minded. They're so like
That doesn't look narrow-minded.
well, that's fake. That's not real. These things you're looking at.
Cool. You have to lay down. in it.
The future
Coffin on wheels.
the future that people
Drives you to an Apple store no matter what.
No, I don't want to go back.
I'm starving. I need food.
Adam wants to make a point.
I want to give you guys some future talk because
You
shit's
need
gonna get
iPads.
real.
Yeah, shit's
Oh,
alright.
Adam-
So
Sorry, go ahead.
that's the dumbest looking.
Just Photoshop
Looks like
wheels
a
on it.
fish. Anyway, sorry. God damn it. I forgot where I was going with this. I always feel like I have something smart
the
to say.
future.
It's the future.
Apple
Oh,
TV's
okay. Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so it actually wasn't that long ago. Every single person here, probably you too, Amanda, can remember a time where you had an MP3 player, you had a phone, you had a GPS, you had 10 different things, you had books, and it all became this one thing, and it's in your pocket now, right?
Yeah.
Right. So right now we're experiencing the same sort of convergence right now with the living room, where we have all these apps and we have all this media, and we're using these different devices to basically bridge that gap.
Yeah.
We're getting to the point where it's just going to be your phone or whatever implant is in you, and you're just going to walk into a room, and it's just going to stream to your wall. God damn it!
No, but you're right. Like
Yeah.
everything. Like I think you're right that everything will be seamless. They're trying to do that a lot. Like with Nest is a good example of that.
No, but that's not a good example of convergence because that's actually putting together.
Well, no, I think
but basically, like you can control Nest from your phone, so you control your house from your phone.
I know, but that's not- that's not
I think
convergence.
where
Well,
we're moving towards is the
First step.
the ownership of hardware is going to go away. So the whole idea of like self-driving cars, everything's going to be a service. You're just going to be paying monthly for a thing.
Oh,
and
no.
there goes Skype. Sorry,
Bye,
Amanda.
Bye, Amanda.
She'll be watching this on the VOD. But anyway, I was saying, yeah, you'll just get into like we've seen it with like Zip cars and like car to go and stuff like that, where like you're just paying to use a car. You don't actually own the car.
right.
You don't, right now it's like you don't really own the phone. You're just leasing the phone. So it's like shit's gonna break. And you're just gonna walk into a store, like they'll send you a new one, and you're not gonna own the TV. You're not gonna own any of this stuff. It's just you're paying a service.
What are you hoping out of the Apple car?
Well, the Apple Car is way too short-sighted of what it's going to be. I think because you're already seeing Apple CarPlay is already a thing. Have you seen that?
No.
So they have dash mounts in cars. Is it dash mount? What do you call it? Whatever.
Where you put your iPad?
Not that.
Touchscreens?
Whatever. The fucking the deck. You know, your CD player or whatever.
Oh, the center console?
Is that? I guess that's what you call it.
That
Whatever.
thing? Yeah.
Well, they have things called Apple CarPlay. So you take you have to have a lightning cable, but you plug it into your phone, and then like your dash or whatever becomes an Apple phone. That already exists, and they're doing it with Google CarPlay as well.
But that's not what that's why I'm asking. Like, obviously, that's not all that the Apple Car is going to be. Ideally, there'll be more. There'll be something a little bit more.
They're not
pushing forward the technology.
They're not going to make a car. They're going to have a service that's inside like a Tesla or something like that.
You think so? You think they're just making software?
Of course,
not hardware.
That's where the money's at for vehicles. Yes, like they're not going to. Apple is not going to make cars.
Car companies aren't some of the biggest industries in the world.
So yeah, but they've existed for like 100 years. It was so hard for Tesla to break into that.
I have a question for Adam.
Yes.
Since you're talking about convergence, or rather the less reliance on individual chunks of plastic that do things for you, what significance do you see that Google already has the Chromecast, which essentially extends your phone and everything it can do to a television or audio output, and Apple still has the Apple TV, which is a physical box that needs power and processes things remotely. Why hasn't Apple put in some kind of streaming device like the Chromecast?
Wait, what do you mean?
I mean, like...
Because they can make more money with Apple TV. That's my genuine...
Apple TV does exactly what the Chromecast does.
Yes, but it's more expensive.
Because it's Apple.
And it's redundant, because your phone already has that processing in it. Joel, I think, has the right answer.
You want me to blow your mind?
They want to leverage installation numbers for the Apple TV.
Chromecast is redundant, because a lot of phones have built-in Wi-Fi, and the Chromecast should just be... Chromecast and Apple TV one day, along with Xbox Live and Sony's online
built in your TV, but I'm talking about right now. Why do you think Apple didn't announce some kind of Chromecast-like device?
Because
they did. It was the Apple TV.
No, but Lawrence is saying like a small USB cheap $35 plug-in that doesn't require you to plug it in like a power supply.
Because Apple doesn't do cheap. They need to make something. They need to justify their price, and they need it's a remote with a touch pad or whatever. The thing's going to be outdated in a year.
Apple Game of Thrones or something.
Because Apple,
the idea of a remote is outdated.
No,
it's stupid.
Actually, the real reason isn't just the money. It's because Apple considers itself a lifestyle brand.
Oh, I hate to say that.
But
I know you're right.
And plugging in like a little dongle into your TV isn't part of a lifestyle. Having your living room be a fully functioning Apple device is part of a lifestyle.
Well, that's ultimately what galls me about Apple is that, if you're in the Apple ecosystem, you're in the Apple lifestyle, whereas I want my tech to work for me. I don't want it to change how I do my stuff for my tech.
But their argument is that if you buy into this lifestyle, it will work for you. Like if all of your devices are Apple devices, they'll all talk to each other and you'll be able to do everything all at once, and then they will work for you.
Caller, are you there? Caller, are you there?
Hello.
Hello. Do you have a question for us about iPhone versus Android?
I was wondering about how I think it was Microsoft were talking about making like modular phones so you could swap parts.
Yeah.
Project Aura.
Like, do you think that you guys would ever get one of them? Maybe if they made the operating system, you could pick iOS or Android.
That'd be awesome, but Apple will never let it happen.
Exactly. Apple will not do that. They actually tried an experiment a while back with their Macintoshes where they sold them and then outsourced them to a bunch of different companies. And then they basically made other Macintoshes with Mac OS on it. They only did it for about a year. It didn't really work, didn't really increase sales or anything like that, so they went back to making their own hardware. Yeah. So they're probably not going to do that for they might make their own modular phone, but
I doubt it.
I'm not sure if they'll do that. Yeah, that doesn't seem like something that they would do.
Here's a theory playing off that. MacBooks and shit like that used to run on PowerPC, now they're on Intel. So if you want, you can dual boot Windows on a MacBook.
Yeah.
And I don't know for sure, but I theorize it was just cost of production that drove that to happen. So even though Apple may not have chose it to be that way, maybe at some point the hardware will converge to the point where aftermarket people can do that if they want.
Yeah, and the way the hardware works with Apple, it's so closely tied to the software. That's a big reason why the battery life is typically much better than an Android device, but Android allows things like we're looking at images right now of Project Aura, but even my phone, it's an LG G4, I can swap the battery out. I don't know any iPhone users who can do that.
Yeah.
And I remember I got made fun of by coworkers of dude, that's pretty ghetto. like swap your battery out. But it's like
I like it. It's
Oh,
like
I'm
we're
saying-
loading a gun.
well, it's like we're traveling and we're out, and
Makes
it's
me
like,
feel like James
totally
Bond.
useful.
there's always that person who's standing next to the wall. I'll be like, I'll be right there. Hold on, I just need a little bit of juice. I'm like, I'll just swap my battery out. It's fine.
I still say battery packs are functionally identical.
Yeah, and
There's
until we
a
get to the
cord
point
there,
where
I
it's like that film Her, where he has like the tiny little phone, and it lasts for like 12 years, like, you know, where the battery life is like basically
It's
not
your
even a
own
problem.
bioelectric energy.
Also, we need wireless charging in the air.
Thank you for the question, caller. We appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's all right.
Bye bye.
Pray for Mojo.
Get out here.
Caller, are you there?
Hello.
Hello.
Joel
Do you have
was
a question
almost
about iPhone versus Android?
I was wondering if you think that Apple will have a never-ending kind of going of successfulness, and that they'll just keep adapting everything into their brand, or do you think sooner or later someone will be able to step into their branding against Microsoft and Apple and iPhone?
I think Apple, Google, and Microsoft are like McDonald's. I think they're going to survive for hundreds of years. And it's one of those things that like they're becoming, like Joel said, a sort of a lifestyle. As long as the company continues in the direction of innovation and lifestyle, I really don't see them, going out of the consumer space for at least another 100 years. That's just the way I see it. But they're one of 3 or 4 companies that can say those sorts of things.
I agree with a lot of people who rag on Apple about like, oh well, Microsoft had, was it Samsung had a giant phone before Apple had a giant phone, and Samsung or Microsoft had X, Y, or Z before Apple had X, Y, or Z. Whatever the fuck it is. I agree with all that, but Apple has effectively unlimited money to do whatever the fuck they want to do.
Sure.
So they're going to be able, I agree with Bruce, the foreseeable forever future, to take ideas and then make them their own. Do the Apple version of whatever idea. I don't see anybody like, if the question is like somebody taking them down or someone legitimately calling them out in an effective way, I just don't see it happening.
The funny thing about Apple too was, if you remember, they almost went out of business.
Yeah.
Like they almost did not. Oh dear God. They were almost essentially like absorbed by Microsoft.
Yeah.
And Microsoft kind of saved them in a weird way.
Yeah.
And I mean, and they brought Steve Jobs back, and all by himself he fixed everything. Not true, but whatever. We'll see if the Fassbender movie.
Yeah, the
shows
biopic will tell us.
We'll see. Which looks interesting. I used to really like Steve Jobs when I was a kid because I had an iMac, and I'm like, I watched Pirates of Silicon Valley, and I was like, he's such a cool guy. And then the more I read about him, I'm like, wow, what an asshole.
Well, it's almost like Steve Jobs is kind of a unique character, but I feel like it's kind of a Walt Disney phenomenon where to be that kind of person who changes the world in that way, you're gonna be a little. There's going to be something about you
A
that's
little bit of
not
insanity.
all nice. Yeah, you're going to be a little crazy and a little pushy and a little dicky.
Regardless,
a little Asperger's-y, honestly.
A little bit, yeah.
All these guys are.
Like
Yeah,
you don't stop working.
Silicon Valley, the show, is almost a documentary at this point, where it's like,
so on the nose. It's creepy.
But on that point, like Apple almost went away. They're never going to let that happen again. They're not going to make those same mistakes because they almost went away once. And as long as they keep adapting, like Joel was saying, and they keep stealing ideas from other companies, they'll be fine.
Well, I think also more importantly, they're literally the most profitable company on earth right now, and they're not going to go away because they have so much money.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Thank you for the call, caller. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's see who we got.
I'm gonna wave to people. They can't see
The
me.
most
Caller,
profitable- their
are you
highest
there?
Hello?
Is that true?
Hello.
Hey.
Do you have a question for us about iPhone versus Android?
No.
What was the first Apple product that you've had?
The first Apple product that I had.
Man.
I believe I had, let's see here. I had one of these. Although I probably had one of these before that. Performa Mac. It was like this thing.
Whoa.
I had
Nice.
that.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was
an
the-
optical drive.
And I remember this PowerPC logo on the front of
Yep,
it.
we used to edit with those.
Yeah.
Man, I
Gross.
wanted to try to put a DVD drive in that thing. Guess what you can't do?
I had one of those. I had one of those too. I was
Type in 90s Mac.
Oh,
Or 90s Macintosh.
You mean the ones with the handles on them?
No, I had an iMac, don't get me wrong.
Huh.
I forget the name of the one that I had. I had a really old one.
Like a PowerPC?
No, not that. My grandpa had that though.
Yeah,
Man, he loved that thing.
We had that.
No, I had one that like it could run Day of the Tentacle. Yeah.
I didn't own this, but the computer that we had in my elementary and middle school were Apple IICs.
Oh yeah, no, I used those in elementary school as well.
Yeah.
These little guys, you could play Oregon Trail on
You
them.
could play
Hated those
you could play
motherfuckers.
Green Oregon Trail,
Yeah.
and eventually I think there were some models of the C's that had some color. Is that right? I don't remember.
I don't know. I remember my grandpa showed me a program where he's like, check this out. If you type in any number, this program will go down a list and find that number for you. So I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, go for it. I'm like,
that's right.
I'm like, 100. And it went, found 100. And I was like, whoa.
Here goes 3 hours of my time.
Yeah.
Lawrence, what'd you own?
I don't think I've ever owned an Apple product. I've used them a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's so, like, they were in computer labs and stuff, and I remember using them and be like, I don't like this.
When you were at Machinima,
they gave me a MacBook, and I installed Windows on it. Yes. I remember
Well,
even
it's
as a
never
kid,
changed.
I remember as a kid thinking, why is there only one fucking button on this mouse? This makes no why?
So before OS 10,
and the click was on the bottom. It wasn't a button on the top. It felt
Yeah, it
terrible.
was so annoying. I agree. Hate that
for the
mouse.
longest time, like type in OS 9. Like look at OS 9 was ugly as balls, and it couldn't play video games. Yeah,
I had 9.
This is the garbage I had to use.
I mean, it's not like 3.1 was any prettier, but still, this was XP era.
No, I'm saying this is what I was dealing with for a while. So so my grandpa has always been like an Apple fanboy, like since like whatever the 80s. He's always been behind them through the good and the bad.
Weird.
And my mom bought us a compact Pisario one year from like Costco for like $1,000. Remember? And
later, it's being used to prop open the door.
Before that, my grandpa gave us an iMac, and we just couldn't do anything with it because it just didn't do shit. And it had OS 9 on it. It was ugly. And I remember one weekend, my grandpa was coming over to visit. My mom hid the compact in the closet, and we had to bust out the iMac and be like, "Look, Grandpa, look what we're using." And he was like, "Oh, you don't have anything installed. Let me go through there." And it ran really slow afterwards. But I ended up selling it at a garage sale for like $10, and it was like the original iMac.
Thank you for the call, caller.
Anyway.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a nice call.
Thanks.
He was expecting us to like say iPhones and stuff, but we're all old.
I know. Caller, are you there?
Yeah, hey.
Hey, you have a question for us about iPhone versus Android?
Yeah, so I started out as an Android user, and my mom actually was the reason that I switched, because she said she didn't want to buy me an iPod and a phone. So I was wondering what you would do to, like, sell me an Android. Like,
Wait, hold on.
I don't want to sell you an Android.
What kind of phone do you have right now?
I have an iPhone.
Cool. iPhone 5 or like?
I have an iPhone 5, yeah.
Okay.
5S.
All right, so somebody sell her an Android.
Okay. What do you listen to music?
Like-
What do you use to listen to
What are your
music?
favorite features? Kind of thing.
What do you use to listen to music right now?
My phone.
Okay, but what service?
Spotify.
Okay, Spotify's on Android.
Yeah, but
So if your initial problem was you didn't want to carry on 2 pieces of hardware, you don't.
Actually, no. This is how I would sell you on it. Because this is how
I'm a good salesman.
This is how I sold myself on it. Don't listen to Lawrence.
I used to work retail.
That's great. Keyword used
I
to.
think we all got our starts in retail.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
What's her name?
Dez? Is it Dez?
Yeah, it's Des.
All right, Des. How much do you pay a month for your on your phone bill?
Like 110.
Whoa. Fuck me. Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy high.
Is your phone paid off, or are you on a 2-year plan?
It's paid off now, but I've
Okay.
just got my.
So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna sell that phone of yours, and then we're gonna buy you. Let's say, so the new Nexus just came out. Nexus 5.
No, we're not actually going to buy you anything.
No, I'm saying this. I'm doing the salesman
buy
thing.
me
We're
something.
role playing. Actually, fuck it. Go to the website Swappa, SWAPPA, and what's a good what's a good phone? LG G3. That's a good phone.
Okay. We're gonna buy an old phone for this woman.
Well, yeah. We're gonna save her a shitload of money. We're gonna make her rich like Lawrence.
Yep.
How much is it on? Who's your network? Who are you on?
I'm on AT&T.
Okay, we're quitting them. We're going to T-Mobile because you can get them for like $30 a month.
Well, this is unlocked.
Yeah, that's where I started.
Actually, it doesn't even matter. I'm sure AT&T actually, we could probably go on any sort of plan. I don't know. Regardless, so you're gonna get rid of the phone. We're gonna get you on a cheaper plan because you're gonna just buy a phone outright and own it, and then you're gonna control which carrier you want to go to.
So the phone we buy is unlocked. So you can go anywhere with it.
Yeah, you can go to Cricket Wireless or whatever. I'm just saying there are other competitors out there. All you have to do is buy the SIM card, and then you pay the monthly fee. This is how I was paying $110 with Verizon or something like that, and I bought an Android just so I can get off of that, and I can buy the SIM card. I bought a Nexus 4, and I had my phone bill down to $30 a month, and I was just basically saving money that way so that I was making money. Yeah, so imagine taking your bill from $110 a month to $30 a month. What would that do for you?
That would save my life.
There you go. So I just sold you an Android. Thank you. Someone tap my butt.
Yeah.
What?
Des, thank you very much for the call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
We have time for one more.
Time for one more. Caller, are you there?
Yeah, hey, I'm here.
Hey, you have a question for us about iPhone versus Android?
Yeah, so when the smartwatches first came out, like everyone thought they're kind of dumb.
They are dumb.
Still
now
dumb?
that Apple Watch is out, everyone that has Apple likes them.
They're dumb.
People are dumb.
So,
That's typically how it goes.
With Google Glass, how that thing kind of flopped. Do you
Also
think
dumb.
Apple's gonna come out with a version and everyone's gonna like flip shit for it?
Oh, of Google Glass.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh no, well, Google Glass is kind of dead.
I mean,
Right,
like,
but
yeah,
Apple
Google,
did
Google
first.
Glass is dead right now. Apple Glass.
Apple Glass.
Apple Glass is what I want to search. Let's see here.
No.
And the idea is like augmented reality, right? And I think Google Glass was, Google loves micro experiments, and they buy companies all the time that seem like they might turn into something. So they get all the stuff at a steal, and if it blows up, great. If it doesn't, they just walk away from it. I think that's different than Apple, which is they have an idea that they are convinced will work, and then they push it and push it and push it and push it and push it. It's almost a little Microsofty in that way. And I think, you know, I'm sure that they're doing tests about this kind of stuff, and I think like that gaudy ass piece of shit didn't fit into the Apple brand or the Apple lifestyle. It's like some 80s cyberpunk gear.
Look at his helmet.
His little cap. So stylistically, I can see Apple doing that. Maybe if they could build them into some fucking thick ass shades or something.
I would posit that when you see the that's awesome.
He's built the beginning wrong.
the beginning. When the Apple car comes out, I would venture a guess that there will be a HUD on the windshield.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Well, most newer cars now that are like, you know, relatively expensive have HUDs.
Yeah.
So the problem is, Joel is giving a lot of credit to Apple.
No.
In the sense that they're going to actually invent something.
I'm not. Did you hear what I said earlier in the podcast where I said they're going to take everybody else's ideas and make them part of the Apple
Right.
experience.
But I'm saying there would be a Google car, which there is going to be. We saw them driving the other day.
We did.
Yeah, like. So Apple would only do an Apple Glass or an iPhone, huh? That was from a Futurama episode. Anyway, they would only do that if it was popular. They basically let everyone. Kind of cool. They let Google figure it out first, like what works and what doesn't work. So I guarantee you, if the Google Glass experiment had taken off, Apple would be developing. They probably are developing a similar version. They're just kind of testing the waters before they go public with it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But nobody wanted honestly, nobody wanted a Google Glass, and people want a HUD on their car.
Sorta. If it's a self-driving car, you can just look at your phone. People do that when they're driving
But
anyway.
we're not going to honestly have ubiquitous self-driving cars for 10 or 15 more years, at least.
It's going to be a little bit.
Sure.
How does that address?
Caller, thank you for the call. We
Because
appreciate it.
HUDs are going to be a lot easier to put in.
Oh, I see.
What? A HUD would be easier to put in to use your cell phone?
No, than a self-driving car.
HUD.
We have reached the end of the
I don't know if you know how holograms
podcast. Turns out Android won because of sales.
Android always wins.
Also, Android always wins.
It's the very first question.
God damn it. The entire time we kept calling it Android versus iPhone.
Yeah.
And then it would be Android versus iOS.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter.
It really doesn't.
Or it'd be
this.
Apple versus Android. Actually, it'd be Apple versus Google.
So
well, you can also it'd be iPhone versus Nexus 6P or whatever.
You can do that too.
You can do that too.
Well, yeah, except for the iPhone. I mean,
think it's weird.
There's only one phone that uses the iOS. Well, one company that uses the iOS. So it makes more sense to say Android. It really does.
I agree.
I would like to argue more about this.
Let's argue about it.
Anyway, a HUD is going to be more ubiquitous.
Okay, let's end the podcast.
God,
We're
your
done.
breath is so bad.
Thank you for
It's
listening.
garlic.
Oh,
Thank you for listening.
We went to Zanku today.
I got a hot waft in it. It was so bad.
I burped and blew it right at Bruce. I felt a little bad about that.
Gross.
Joel, did you learn Krav Maga when you were in the
I can't learn
Israeli military?
The thing is, I can't tell you, but
Oh.
Are you still playing? Hold on.
Do you sign an NDA?
Guys, 1 second.
Do you sign an NDA?
Okay, that's still going. Okay. All right, let's accept another caller.
Skype's having Lawrence, what are you doing?
Shouldn't have
Fucking
updated
damn.
Lawrence's fault.
I hit answer. I wanted to answer the call.
I wish we were still playing Jurassic World Lego.
Fucking Skype.
Move it.
Thank you.